Okay, we're just going to get started here in a few minutes, everybody. I can see people logging in. We've got Daryl Keyser from Candy Box Marketing joining us. He'll be taking the reins in a second here and taking you through his presentation. We're here to help you learn how to generate more leads and how to convert them. I love our title, Daryl? Stop Losing Leads. Like, what the heck are you guys doing?
Exactly. So, Rob, can I tell you a story the other day that has to do? Yeah, I'll actually talk on topic this time of my experience the other day. We had a client. I won't say who it is. But they own an auto dealership, and I wanted to get my car serviced. I have the same brand of car, so I wanted to get my car serviced while I was meeting with them. Right? I thought that's great. I'll give them some business. I'll meet with them, and I just need to get my brakes done. So I went on their website to book the service, and we've been advertising for them, and they've been happy with the conversion rate but wanted more. And it's funny, I went on online chat to book the service, and when I talked to the online chat person, they told me to call the dealership directly, and so I was like, well, that's pretty pathetic. I just went on online chat to do something, and then I tried their online booking service, so I clicked on book an appointment. And it gave me this form, and part of the form was about 120 different options of how I could get my car serviced, which I guess is not very user-friendly, but whatever. But it was using, every item was using a code name that the dealership knows for the different service. So you can get, like, I could get my FR 2020s refactioned, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and so I decided, well, I'm just going to try to go to the next page and not fill out what my service is. And it wouldn't let me.
Oh, wow.
So I couldn't get my car service. Then I got so frustrated, and I'm a motivated client, right? So I actually called into this place. This is just like a couple days ago. I called into the place, and I got a voicemail. So I left a voicemail, and they didn't get back to me that day, so I went to Midas and got my brakes done. And they called me back the following day asking if they could do my brakes, and I just said no, because they're done. They're already done. So, that's kind of a preface of what we're talking about today, of how companies lose leads online. But that was a terrible experience I had with my client. So I was able to let my client know this, and they were quite happy to get the feedback.
Yeah, that's a really good story, and we've been seeing it a lot too. So a lot of the clients that we have, they come to us because they want to implement CRM, right, to improve sales or manage their customers more effectively. And so one of the things we've been doing is doing a test on their website. So we would submit a lead of some kind through their website, and we would measure their ability to respond to that, how fast they respond, and those types of things. And so many times the lead goes in and nobody gets back to us. Half the time nobody gets back to us, so it's amazing. I think I lost my audio.
Hold on a second.
I think the audio just went dead on me here. Okay, I'm gonna.
Rob, are you back here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Perfect. Could you just, Rob, because you're the organizer, can you just, with a show of hands, or ask for a show of hands, just to see if people can actually hear me? Can you just click the little hand up icon if you can hear me?
Yep.
Can people hear me, Rob? Yep.
Yep, all the hands went up. I might be having a bad connection here in the office. We've been having some issues the last couple of days, so I'm going to quickly introduce Daryl, and so that you guys can continue on. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining today. We've got some existing customers who we currently work with now, and we have some potential customers, people that are looking at investing into CRM for their business to grow sales. We do monthly webinars on how to use CRM, how to set up CRM, that type of thing. We had one of those about a week ago. And we also do a series like this. And this series is all about generating more leads and converting them. So I'd like to introduce Daryl Keyser from Candy Box Marketing, who's going to take us through part one of a two-part series today. And I'll be doing the second part. And the analogy I like to use is a volleyball team. So Daryl's going to set the ball today, and next week I'm going to spike it. So I'm going to pass it over to Daryl. Daryl's the CEO and founder of Candy Box Marketing. We met Daryl in a very unique way. We were looking for a partner to help our customers with lead generation, website, setting up digital marketing, those types of things. And so what did we do? We went to Google and Googled a bunch of terms, and Daryl came up first. So we called Daryl, had lunch, and that formed the partnership. So I'd like to pass it over to Daryl and welcome everybody. If you have any questions, if you've been on one of these before, you know that you can ask a question through the chat, through the question window in your GoToWebinar tool, and we'll be able to answer your questions throughout the presentation. Daryl, awesome. Over to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Rob. And guys, thanks everyone for attending today. I personally am not the biggest fan of webinars, just because sometimes I've gone to a lot of webinars that are really boring, and so I will try to make this as exciting as possible. I really do like what we're talking about today. I'm excited to go over some stuff, some stats. I want to give you some tangible outcomes of what you can do to increase leads into your company, new sales. That's the life that we live, is just trying to generate leads for our customers on a regular basis, and so hopefully I can add something, even if it's just one or two major takeaways for you to kind of bring back. That would be great for me. If stuff gets boring, I'll tell some Chuck Norris jokes, because I love Chuck Norris jokes, and I'm not sure if any of you guys heard recently, but Chuck Norris recently got a Gmail account for the first time. He got a Gmail account. It's gmail@chucknorris.com. And some easy stuff like that I like to share. But Rob, feel free to, if there's any questions, just interrupt me. I'm going to start going here. But
so can you make sure I can't see your deck, your slide deck yet.
You can't see it? Okay, well that's not good, because it says that I'm actually sharing this. So let me.
If you share it might have lost it when I lost my connection there for a second. So if you reinstate that, we'll be good to go.
Okay. I just started sharing it again. I'm going to click play here, and so it shows that I'm sharing it. If you can just let Rob know, guys, because he's the organizer, if you can see the slide deck, it's a picture of my face wearing glasses. You can see it. Can you click the hand up button, and so we know that we're all on board together.
Yeah, hands are up. Hands are up, saying they can see it. Okay, they can see it. Good.
Awesome, guys. Thanks so much. So just very quickly, I want to quickly mention business for 30 years or 40 years, and I know how business goes, and you may have been through referrals or traditional advertising or direct mail and stuff. And the reality is that although your products may or may not have changed, and your customers are the same kind of targets, your customer is now doing different things. They're experiencing different networks. Their eyeballs are in different places at different time. And what we want to take a look at today is how we can meet your customer and where they're at to make sure that we are attracting, engaging, and converting them into prospects for your organization. And if you think about the way that we used to do business, I remember, like, if it was, if I needed to call a cab company, well, you went and grabbed the yellow pages, right? You grabbed it out of we had a filing cabinet. I grabbed this massive book, would search for it, and usually like A1 or AAA or something would be the first in the book. That was a marketing strategy. And you know what? It worked. If they're in the book, they were getting phone calls. They had bigger ads. They got phone calls. Cycle, burn, or use that book for other purposes. And although our customer may be similar in what we're trying to do, their habits have changed. And so we want to make sure we're attracting them where they are being attracted, we're engaging them how they want to be engaged, and we're converting them in the way that they want to be converted. And my thesis of this entire talk is it only takes one wrong turn to lose your way entirely. So if the customer is looking for you, and just like the story I told at the beginning of me trying to book in service, and if I want to book it online and I can't get past one question on that form, I'm gone and I'm at Midas. Okay, your customer is not going to give you a second chance. So you can have a lot of stuff that you're doing right online, but if you have one thing you're doing wrong, you could be losing the majority of your customers through that process. So if we take a look at the stats right now, in regards to digital marketing in Canada. The reality is 82% of Canadians are now active daily on social networks. As Canadians, we check our phones 150 times per day. Okay, that may seem pathetic. And if I had the ability to pull you guys, most people check it while they're still horizontal in the morning. Okay, so we're still lying in our beds and we're checking emails and going through texts and all that stuff. And it's, some people are sleeping with their phones. Okay, so although our business hasn't changed, our customers have changed. They're spending an average of 5 hours per week on social media. Their eyeballs and their attention spans are very different to what they were just 5 simple years ago. And we take a look at the customer overall journey. So I'm not just talking about like what they're doing online. If you're buying something, and I don't care if it's a brick and mortar store, if it's an online purchase, offline relationship selling, the reality is people bounce around from TV to digital to referral network to print to stores, and there's really like it's a bit of a mess. And our job as marketers is to help simplify this mess of a journey and make sure that they get exactly what they're looking for. Okay, if you've ever been on a website looking for a product and you can't find the price of that product and they want you to phone a 1-800 number, that is a classic mistake that companies make in saying, well, they're going to call us for the price. Well, the reality is, as your website may be open up in their browser and they're looking at your product, they've got 3 other browsers open too, and they're searching through a number of different sources, and we want to make sure that we get your customer and not your competition. In regards to attracting people, for people's what we call zero moment of truth, the first, that they're thinking, hey, I want to buy a house in Toronto, or I'm looking to open up a bank account in Calgary, or I want a new pair of glasses. The reality is people's first few steps are starting with either search or social media. We look at business-to-business sales. So this is a B2B stat on here. In Canada, 75% of B2B sales start with online search. That's where it starts. So, you may have great closing ratio once you talk to people, but if you are not the person that they talk to first when they find it on the search engine, that's a problem. We see that the millennial generation is now searching 43 times per day, and search is now so integrated that all they have to say is "OK Google" next to their computer, and it opens up a program to automatically search for something, or for their phones or glasses. I mean, it's just expanding every single year. And here's another funny stat here for us. In Canada, 60% of Canadians use a secondary digital device while watching TV. So if they're watching TV, they're also on a phone or an iPad or a tablet or a laptop or something. Now, during this presentation, I know some of us, and I know this is very strange, I'm showing a picture of my favorite car, but this is my favorite car. It's a DeLorean. And the reason why I'm showing this to you is that the DeLorean this car was built in 1980. Okay, so if you think about that, 1980 was now being 2015. That's 35 years ago. In regards to the millennial generation, they say the millennial generation, like on paper, started 1980 to the year 2000. That's when they were born. So the DeLorean was born in the same year that millennials started being born. Millennials are known as those who are digital natives. Okay, and so when we're thinking about millennials, I want to change our perception away from in high school, yes, the bottom age is 15, but the top age, okay, millennials are having an average of 3 kids per family in Canada. Their native born only had 1.9 kids per family. Okay, so when you think millennial, please stop thinking teenager, entitled, person. Think minivan, needing to get a bigger house, progressing in their career person, which is more realistic view of what a millennial is. If we take a look at the different demographic groups, this is one resource from Environics Analytics 2014 that put them into different diverse groups, because the biggest mistake about thinking about millennials is thinking about the stereotypical millennial, right? Where a lot of us would take a look at critical counterculture, civic-minded, ethical consumers with global consciousness. That's what we think about. But that only represents 4% of millennials. 38% of millennials on this chart here, which represents the largest demographic group, are called bros and Britneys, and they're considered mainstream millennials, young, urban and suburban, showing strong enthusiasm for brands. This means what you believe. They are brand loyalists, and they will tell everybody that they know to go with your brand. Okay, they are more loyal than baby boomers. All right, so even if we're doing B2B or B2C, it doesn't matter. These people are in purchasing positions, and they want to build loyal relationships with their companies that they buy from. Okay, if some people say that they're entitled generation, I think this is a bunch of crap. Personally, this is Daryl's just thoughts right here. But the truth is, or the truths that they were sold on the left-hand side here is that they thought that everyone goes to university to get a good career, and we know that that didn't happen. Car and a family, and we know that that's not happening. They're having kids later, they can't buy houses, etc. And they're also being told that if they invest all their time in a big company, they're going to take care of you. But the majority of millennials started graduating during the recession, seeing everybody being laid off. So people think that they're entitled. I would agree with them in saying, you know what, they've been sold a bag of goods, and they're having a great difficulty in the job market. So please don't write them off. Now, in regards to myself, I am a millennial. My favorite candy bar, as I'm showing there, is a Crispy Crunch. I check my voicemails once a week, but I send out 200 emails per day, 200 texts per day, and post around 30 times a day on different networks. Okay, if you want to reach me, calling me is probably the worst way to do it. All right, now if we're taking a look at different ways of attracting, that we want to just quickly talk about search and social media. Search in regards to pulling people in, it's called a pull strategy. So for example, if I'm looking for an enterprise CRM solution, I search that on Google, and we want to pull them into our site rather than other websites. And for Facebook, it's about pushing, where let's say, hey, we want to advertise something to a certain demographic, a certain group of people. We push that idea on. The reality is they're on a lot of different networks for different reasons. Here's the stats of what percentage of Canadians are on the different networks that are 30% LinkedIn, 25% Twitter. The reality is that people are in different places for different reasons, and we need to start thinking about how we can approach the right way in the right place. So if, for example, you're selling women's clothing to women, Pinterest would be your network of choice. If you're looking to be a news resource, you've got to go towards Twitter first. Every single network is different in a different nature. users. Which means, all right, we want to and converse relate or producing conversation or being real with people. Secondly, that we're expert focused, that we're not just putting stuff out there, any idea at all, that we're actually providing good resources to people that are out there. Third thing is content rich, right? We actually have good content on our pages, images, videos, infographics, webinars, downloads, white papers, all that stuff that helps people engage with us. And the last thing is we want to make sure we're relevant. Let's just say if you ran a financial institution, just posting the overnight rate every single day is not very relevant to the customer. To customers, people don't care. Talking rather about what the customers care about in regards to lifestyle, all of a sudden we become relevant. Now, content's #1 job is to create conversation. Okay, when we're thinking about social media, it's not about just driving revenues. Its job is to generate conversation. So, what does this look like? Well, for Leslie Sansone, she was one of our clients. We did walk fitness DVDs with her, and she went from e-commerce sales doubled. Now she's a $25 million video business, and here e-commerce doubled when we started engaging her fans online. Now the content on here wasn't direct selling, but the reality is we produced excellent content showing different videos and clips and giveaways and stuff, and once people engaged with the community, they started also buying the videos. Okay, when we take a look at both search and social content, we've heard this term a lot, content is king, where content becomes the biggest resource for people to start interacting with our brand. And this can consist of a lot of different things. Blogs, social networks, email newsletters, landing pages, infographics, images, videos. I'm not saying that every company needs to produce all of these, but it's important to find out what your niche is and produce some of these to produce excellent content for your users. You can't just go on social media and expect people are going to start buying through it. You need to provide the content that they're consuming to develop a relationship with them. All right, now this is the next demographic I want to talk about, our wonderful baby boomers, okay? These are two guys named Wayne, and these are two guys that are both in my life. On the left-hand side, this is a CEO, although he's being a bit of a goof here. He's actually babysitting my kids. And this CEO is what's called an information gatherer. He spends all of his time online gathering as much information as he can. He posts his information anywhere. He doesn't really care about where his information is going to get to. He tries to, it's a path of least resistance for him. He's 65 and he just goes for it. On the right-hand side, this is Wayne Keyser. This is my father, and yes, that is me in his arms. This is the only picture of him on Facebook because I personally posted it, okay? He's a privacy ambassador. He doesn't want to give his information to anybody, and yet he spends all this time searching and researching blogs and articles online before making any purchases. Your customer, your baby boomer customer may look like one of these two Waynes, but the reality is that both of these Waynes are digitally connected to your business and want to find out more information. Now, that leads us to, where's all this stuff going? What I believe is that it's a race for relevancy. Okay, customers want relevant information through relevant channels at the relevant time. All right, so your social media makeup will look very different to everyone else's because because you've got a different customer that you've got to stay relevant to. If you're going after the teen and the tween market, you've got to make sure you're on stuff like Instagram and Snapchat. All right? It doesn't matter if your company likes it. We need to be in front of our customer to remain relevant. I wanted to pull out a conversation here as an example I had, this is about a month ago now, and it was an incredible example of a big bank becoming social, okay? Because remember before we said that content's only job is to create conversation. Here's a look into a conversation that I had the other day with Tangerine Bank, just as a person, and their communication actually worked. So at the top over here, you see Tangerine asking a question. They're having what's called a tweet chat, and saying, what's at the top of your wish list once you retire? Hashtag RRSP Ready. Okay, and they've got a little picture of a pig with a curly tail. Now, this was an engaging post. It asked me a question. It invited me into a conversation. And so I answered back. I said, at Tangerine Bank, I don't want to move so that I can still throw family parties. Hashtag RRSP Ready. So I gave them an honest answer within a minute, and then looked at the response afterwards. They answered me within seconds. They said, totally understandable, especially with 4 kids, at Daryl Keyser, hashtag RSP Ready. So what did they do here? They moved it from advertising to a conversation. They moved it to a one-way conversation to a two-way conversation by doing one thing. They looked at me, and they creeped my profile, they found out more about me, and they engaged me in a conversation. Okay? Every good social strategy is social first. Okay, we're not just about promoting. They took time to actually, discover something about me, and because of this, when I think RSPs, I'm thinking Tangerine. Why? Because they're the only people that I've ever talked to about my dreams and aspirations in regards to retirement. Nobody else has asked me that, and yet it was just a global tweet that they put out there. Okay, two-way communication is engaging. It involves 2 people, and sometimes, yes, it is even unscripted. All right, relationships are about getting real. Okay, I love this quote from Howard Schultz in 2011. It is not an accident. Starbucks is the #1 brand on Facebook and Twitter. We've used it to engage with our customers in a much more real, authentic, and emotional way. All right, it's about relationships. It's not just about advertising. Okay, we took a look at revenue and saying, well, how does this actually relate to revenue? Well, here's a quick case study for you. The Hyatt Hotel had a problem with my friend Brian. Okay, Brian was he was a speaker. He was in New York City. He went to the hotel, and guess what? They were booked out for the night, and they lost his reservation. They put him in a different hotel, which was a bother because he was there at like 1 o'clock in the morning. He had a really terrible experience and tweeted his terrible experience out there so that the entire world would know that Hyatt Hotel. Now, the next morning, they were listening, right? The conversation is also about listening. They were listening to Brian. They, as soon as he arrived at the front door, they saw his face, and the general manager was there along with 4 of his staff to greet him at the front door. They apologized to him and gave him an entire penthouse suite for the next 2 days. And once that happened, he posted this on Facebook, and within minutes, almost 300 people liked it. There was a ton of comments, and now Hyatt Hotel has positive revenue repercussions because now everybody has seen the inside of Hyatt Hotel based on Brian's interaction with them. By the way, nobody tell Brian that I just called him Ryan. All right? So it's more about not just about business to business and business to consumer. It's more about H to H, human to human. This is what Brian Kramer, this guy I just told you about, is talking about these days. That it is not about thinking about, okay, well, what company are we trying to sell, but who are the people in the companies? Who are the people that want to believe in a product that we are trying to reach? Okay. With search engine marketing talks about how customers are already 60% of the way through the purchase process by the time they speak to a sales rep. Okay, so if you've got confidence in saying, hey, you know what, if I talk to somebody, I can land them. Great, but can you talk to them? Are you getting found first, or is your competition being found first? If you're saying I can close most of the people, but this thing that people are already 60% way closed, what are we doing online to make sure that people can close themselves? This brings us to 2 different concepts: inbound versus outbound. Inbound, saying, hey, come into my company, interact with us, communicate with us, download products, versus outbound saying, I'm going to talk at you, you know, and I'm going to interrupt things like TV, print, radio, all this stuff to talk at you, and I'm not really providing value. Search engine marketing, social marketing is more on the inbound side than the outbound side. If we take a look at Google Ads, we see that Google Ads are the top search engines in Google Organic. Where are we found on these searches? And I just have put in a search the other day, get rid of lights on hill. This is a motivated buyer right here. If we're doing a local search, people are much more likely, I think this stat is 80% more likely to convert than people that are just doing a non-local search. Are you being found in your local areas? We take a look at the most recent search stats. And by the way, guys, I know I'm kind of running through the presentation, but if there's any questions, feel free to ask them on the side here. We take a look at the most recent stats in search engine marketing. 64% of people click on sponsored ads, but only 45%, or sorry, 45% of those people don't even know that they're doing it. Okay, and millennials are searching 43 times a day. Guys, people are searching a ton, clicking on ads, going to sites, and making decisions within minutes, not days and hours. All right, we take a look at local searches. That's what it is. 80% of consumers have local search engines, and local searches are more likely to lead to a purchase by 200%. If somebody's looking for a print company in Toronto, chances are that's going to be purchased within the next 24 hours. All right. If we're taking a look at just pay-per-click, so just the paid advertising, pay-per-click means we're only paying when people are searching for specific items, and we're reaching them at that exact time. Okay, so that's at the moment of truth. We can basically between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday to Friday in the Greater Toronto area. We can do that with pay-per-click, and we're only paying for when the person is clicking on the advertisement. Okay. In regards to Google Maps, people are doing local searches more than ever before. Okay, 61% of people called a local business after performing a digital. So even if your business is wrapped around phones, how many people are calling you based off of Google search engine results? All right. Remember, it's about engagement. Okay. So now that we've attracted people, we've now got to think about engaging them into a sale. It is more important where we're bringing traffic to than where we're bringing it from, right? So this means it doesn't matter if you're getting 10,000 visits on a weekly basis. It's more important what these people are seeing rather than how many places that they're coming from. Three needs for people looking for new companies or products online. The first thing is that it's mobile. Okay, if you're not mobile, you just kissed 55% of your traffic goodbye before they even reach your front door. Imagine if you had like a sales team all waiting in your business, and you have 2 doors to your company, and one of those doors was locked. They couldn't even, they could knock all they want, they couldn't get in. That's exactly what you're doing if you're not mobile compatible. Second thing is online support. As people are making decisions, they want to make sure that, you know, they may have a question, and if you're not supporting them, if you're not supporting answering those quick questions through a live chat or through a phone number or something, you may lose them. And also exchange and returns. People want to know a lot about what happens after the purchase or after they submit their information. If we're not providing this, they may just leave our site. In regards to engaging more people, okay, we take a look at Canadians in regards to being connected. 56% of Canadians have tablets, 85% have smartphones, and 96% are on computers. I mean, we are the most connected nation in the entire world. Although I am a little bit confused about 15% of people don't have smartphones. I don't know how they live, but anyways, that's just me. If we take a look at different demographics, here's a picture here of Vicky. All right, Vicky is also my mom. All right, this is the picture here. She is a grandma. She's a baby boomer. She's retired. This is her sitting with my 4 kids. If you think, hey, you know what, we're trying to attract Vicky. Well, guess what? Vicky is now, as I want to call her mom, My mom is now a mobile-only user. She doesn't do anything online that she cannot do on her smartphone because it's too cumbersome for her to try to use her computer. It always confuses her, but her phone always works. Vicky recently switched banks because her bank didn't have a mobile app to deposit checks and another one did. So after 40 years of being loyal to her bank, she left them because her new bank offered mobile app checks. You got to think about your users, and even if they're not a digital native, they're becoming a digital immigrant. If we're not mobile responsive, this is basically kissing. If we look at the stat in Canada this year, Canadians are mobile for 2.6 hours per day on a mobile device, and we're on our desktops for 2.4 hours per day. We are on our phone more than our desktop. This is a shameless plug for our book here. I've written a book recently called 37 Ways Your Website Has Died and How to Resurrect It. We go through 37 different, very particular ways that we fail to complete leads. And feel free to go on 37ways.com. You can download the first 4 chapters. There's a ton of different ways that websites don't work, and if you don't engage them, you won't convert them. Here's a couple very quick few ways, excerpts from the book of why your website can fail. One way is that you look too fake. Okay, so if you just have the same iStock photo as everybody else, and it's crappy graphics and everything like that, people don't want to relate with you because they're not really sure if you're a real company. It may look like you just don't exist anymore to them. Okay. And so this just doesn't work. By the way, Bob Smith, your testing the question feature, it does work, so feel free to ask any questions you want to. Another way is that you're just too difficult to deal with online. The current stat now is 3 to 10 customers find websites too difficult to use. That's why they don't interact with the company online. It's too challenging. If you try to take an online brochure and put it online and you think that's going to work, that's not going to convert people into customers. Another reason is giving away candy. People like it when, if they are going to give you their information, they want to find out what's in it for them. So if you give them something like a free download, a white paper, a discount, something, you will get their information. If you don't give them anything for their information, there's not a lot of reasons why they're going to submit it. Okay, this is some of our work of different websites that we've launched over the years, and you can tell every single website is different because they've all got different purposes. It's not about creating a website anymore. It's about creating an online salesperson. It's about creating a presence that can walk people through from beginning to end on their entire customer journey. All right, here's a couple case studies we've had recently of just different industry. First one is an air conditioning company. They got 6 times the new business, 6 times new revenue just by switching from Yellow Page advertising to Google advertising. Because when somebody's air conditioner breaks, they're no longer trying to go to yellowpages.ca or do something. They do air conditioning repairman Oakville, inexpensive. And we got 6 times the amount of new business for them by spending only 12% of their budget. The center one here is Insurance Hero. We brought them from a 2% conversion rate up to a 65% conversion ratio with Google advertising. On the right here, we've got Spy Ranch Summer Camp. We're going to profile them as well, too. We just changed what their website looked like, and their camp programs, they do $65 million per year. Okay. If we take a look at what it takes to convert people into prospects online, and guys, I'm very aware we've got about 5 minutes left, and so I love if there's any questions, start filling in the questions on the right-hand side. We're going to be wrapping this up here. But the whole secret of getting more conversions online is within these 2 bubbles. Okay. This is not complex science. It's both art and science, but basically we're dealing with 2 things here. We've got customer intent, and we've got your landing page offering. And the closer these things come together, in the center, this is your conversion ratio. So if you're looking, your intent is, I'm looking for, an air conditioning repair guy in Oakville, and the landing page says, hey, we repair air conditioners in Oakville. The percentage of us or the chances of us converting becomes a lot higher if if this was the case. We present them the exact offering, besides saying, hey, I'm looking for an air conditioner repairman, and we bring them to a generic page where we're talking about both air conditioning and heating and our specials and everything else. Okay, we've got to focus on conversions. Now, where your website typically goes wrong is this is what a typical website looks like. Okay, you've got your homepage, your about us, your team, your products, services, resources, and you're praying to God that they fill out a generic contact us form. The stat is in Canada that if somebody wants to use your form, if somebody actually wants to contact you, only 1 out of 10 of those people will ever fill out this generic contact form. Common fears is that they're going to be added to some type of email list, they're not going to be answered in a timely manner, it's going to go to the wrong department. People don't use generic contact forms. All right? This is Larry. Larry is a customer of ours, and we were watching him search one day. If he didn't find what he was looking for in the exact response mechanism on a website, within 2 seconds he clicked the back button. He wouldn't even go to a different page. Okay? So stop confusing Larrys. In regards to how do we convert our Larrys online, pages. Okay, landing pages here that talk about our individual products or services on the left-hand side that's saying, hey, if you're looking for air conditioning repair and outfill, all that page is doing is focus on converting you. We've also got integrated blogs where we're talking about different articles and different things that can lead off to different goals. Okay, it's more of a presence than a static brochure. All right, so the lesson online is ABC, always be converting. Think about your customer and think they're actually willing to buy, but what are you going to do to get them there? And they're probably not going to do the math. I did not want to use a phone because I'm not a phone type person. I wanted to do an online booking. I wanted to have an online chat, do something while I was in different meetings. So consider your multiple contact us options. Think about all the different ways that that people are dealing with this. A question here, I think it was already answered by Rob, about how do I manage leads when they come in. Well, Rob is actually going to be going through that in the next webinar. Okay, so that's going to be helpful for us. Next thing here is gated content. Okay, when we're thinking about all these different components and saying, okay, we've got product landing page A, B, and C, we have to think about the top thing is saying we got to make sure that the right people are landing on the right pages for the right reason. So we've got search engine marketing, we've got social media, we've got traditional media. We've got to push them to the right page so that we've got the right response mechanism. Okay? Maybe your response is buy it online. Maybe it's contact a sales staff. If you give them the wrong response mechanism, the chances are your conversion rate is going to go lower. This is a picture of Sky Ranch, which is the summer camp I showed you earlier. This was a picture of their homepage. Flash, so it didn't work unless on a desktop. And their call to action, if you can see there, is to call their 1-800 number. Okay, we converted them into having large images, multiple sections on the homepage, and their conversion rate skyrocketed with the same information, but just a different strategy to make sure that we could convert people. Okay, with very clear calls to action and downloads. All right, this is a guy named Tim. I would consider him a web dev. Tim does all of his research online before he makes a decision. All right. With Sky Ranch, sorry, I actually just got ahead of myself here. With Sky Ranch, he had his kid only registered in Sky Ranch because of the website. In the previous year, had evaluated the website and thought they were like a tiny little, for lack of a better word, crap. The next year, he signed them up for the camp, not because the camp changed, but just because they told their story better. Okay? If we look at Apple.com's homepage, it's not about jamming a ton of information down your throat about all the products and services. We see it's a simple navigation, image focused, simple calls to action, and on this entire page, there's only 42 words on this homepage. Okay? Now, this is their front door. Okay, this is the front door to Apple's headquarters. but people don't know them by their front door. They spent millions of dollars on their front door, and yet the reality is this is the real front door to Apple. This is where people actually make purchases, do their research, and actually interact with that brand. We have to start thinking about what are we presenting to our customers as our front doors. Okay, guys, I know that was a lot of information in a very short period of time, but to open up the floor for any questions, anything that you guys have. I know the one question that came through earlier from Bob. Bob, thanks so much for your question. We will be, there will be more in the second webinar here about how do you actually manage and close and do all that leads. This entire thing was kind of the setup of saying, how do you actually get these leads in? How do you qualify them? How do you bring them in from search and social media so you can start dealing with them? So now I'd love to open up the floor to any questions that you may have. I'm just going to skip a slide here to show my information. If you want to know a little bit more about me, our website is candyboxmarketing.com. You can connect with me on social and about me /Daryl Teaser. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if you're on LinkedIn, or follow along on Twitter. But I'd love to know if there's any questions from this program on what you've done to generate leads, how leads may work or not work. We've just got a question here. When is the next webinar? Rob, are you still on here with me?
I am. I'm experiencing bad internet issues, so hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
The next webinar is next Wednesday at the same time, 11 a.m. Eastern. And if anybody wants to participate in that, they can either email me directly or go to our website, www.crmdynamics.ca, and click on About Us and the events, and you'll see the event there. You can register there.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Thanks, Rob. Perfect, guys. Are there any other questions before we sign off for the day? Are there any other questions you guys have in regards to lead gen, websites, search, social? Or did I do that good of a job that everything was just covered?
You must have done a great job.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. That's great. Well, I also want to just quickly thank Rob for sponsoring us for this event. We love working with CRM Dynamics on a number of different projects, and for them to really host these webinars. Rob, thank you so much for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. So I look forward to next week. We're going to talk about, now that you've done such a great job driving all that traffic to your website using the tips and techniques that Daryl shared, I'm going to talk about how do you take that, track it, and convert those into paying customers. That's what my focus is next week. So hopefully we'll see everybody there next week, and by then I'll fix my internet connection.
Great. Awesome.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.